Today we are standing almost in Erev Nachamu, Shabbat of comforting and consolation that was announced to us by Yeshayahu and Navi, Isaiah, about 2,500 years ago, to warm the people's hearts before the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. And we are after Tisha B'Av and our mourning of the Beit HaMikdash, and we are going to talk a little bit about what is comfort and the different levels of comforting and consolation and how it's related to Shabbat. Now, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev, a great sage from about 170, 80 years ago, he was always looking for the good points in people and the good points in Am Yisrael. And he tells us that Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, Vayomar Hashem, Elokeichem, that God, your God tells you, be comforted twice. And why is that double language? Why does the rabbi emphasize this? And so he tells us a couple of different interpretations, which is very interesting. The first comforting is the comfort when you've been through something difficult and it's over. And that is appreciation for having gotten through something difficult. You know, there are many difficulties. This life is made of difficulties, and we've all been through them. And each person gets what he can handle, and we believe that God gives us exactly what we need to teach us how to get close to Him. So all our suffering is really a pathway to get close to Him. We just find it difficult. The first comforting is that you should be comforted from the difficulties that you've gone through. But the second comforting, Nachamu, Nachamu, is after time has passed, and you look back over your times of difficulty, and then you suddenly have even greater comforting. We know time heals and time softens the bitterness of experiences, and we look back and we see that we got through it. We survived. I'm still here. We made it. And that looking back is another level of comforting. It's deeper, it's more long range, and it's appreciating a much bigger picture in our lives. Now we look at our lives day to day because we live them day to day. But actually, of course, our life is very long, hopefully as long as 120 years, maybe more. But if we can look at our lives from over a span of time, we start to see that things have worked out for the best and things have taught us the lessons that we needed. So the second comforting is that deeper level of appreciation for the time that has passed and the suffering and the things that we went through. And that's why, you know, when you get together with old friends, what do you talk about? The things you went through, the difficulties that happened. And there's this sense of pleasure even, of talking about the things that you've gone through. So that pleasure of perseverance is like a solace. It's a comforting that comes after time. Now, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak also gives us another interpretation of the idea of Nachamu, Nachamu, double comforting, that there's a mashal, an example, that your boss tells you you're going to get a big bonus this year. Wow, really? That feels good. When will that come? Well, it will come at the end of the year. Rosh Hashanah is coming. You have a bonus on the way. So that feels good. There's a bonus on the way, but it's not yet in your hand. And it's going to take a little bit of time. And the first comforting, though, is hearing that something good is coming. Of course, the second comforting is when you have that gift in your hand and you receive that bonus in that example. Or, for example, you know, any couple that knows that that day that you first hear that your wife is pregnant, it's a wonderful day. It's a blessing on the way. A child is going to be born. 9 months, we can wait. So there's that great joy that comes with the knowledge that a child is on the way when your wife is pregnant. But then how much greater is the joy 9 months later when the baby is born healthy and there's great rejoicing. So that also is another idea of how time changes our experience of difficulty. Now that change is a very interesting shift between the mind and the heart. When I have a difficulty in my mind, that's one level. But when it goes to my heart, it's even more difficult. So you see that when we're in the middle of a difficult experience, it hurts. We suffer. We don't like it. We want to get out of there. We want to leave that suffering. That's when it's in the heart. But over time, after it's passed, we look at it with our mind, and the suffering suddenly doesn't have that sting. It doesn't have that pain that we associated with it when we first experienced it. So that transmission, that transformation is the elevation from the heart to the mind, from what in Kabbalah is called Tiferet, the beauty, the sphere of the heart, and Habad, which is the Chokhmah, Bina, and Dot of the brain, the upper intellect, the awareness, the knowledge of God. Now, this metaphor of the gift is also something on a higher level between God and the Jewish people and the world, than anyone that believes in God. In the one God, the only God, the God that created heaven and earth and all of us. And He promises things in the Torah. And when we know that it's coming from Him, we know 100,000% if it's good, it's going to happen. That's the definition of prophecy. That if it's good, it's going to happen. If it's bad, we can turn it away with our prayers and good deeds. But a good prophecy is always going to happen. And when it's coming from God, we know it's going to happen. So that's a certain level of comforting. It's going to happen. Okay, it's not now, and I know it hurts, and one day I'm going to get through this, and one day we're going to survive, and we're going to feel better. Right now, it doesn't feel too good. But there's another level where the actual words themselves comfort you, where the words enter your heart directly. And if you've had that experience, you know what I mean. You open the book and you see something written and it clicks. There's this sudden awareness in the mind. It connects to the heart. Something happens and I see myself and my life on the page and I feel better. I feel, now I understand. Now I can accept it. Now I can see it. I could see why we lost the Beit HaMikdash. I could see why we've lost many things in life. Our families, people get divorced, people lose their wealth, people lose their health, people lose their youth, people lose a lot of things along the way. But after you look back and you receive it from that internal knowledge, not the external knowledge of your boss giving you a check or a bonus or something like that, or even a baby, which is a wonderful thing, but there's that internal transformation where just the word itself will change the way you feel and help you and give you comfort and solace. And that is really the two levels of Nachamu that speak to me. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak was a great tzaddik, and he wrote these things down so that we could share them today. And Shabbat is coming, the sun is sinking, and I've got to say goodbye. But we'll be back next week, and great to see you all there. See your names flashing on the screen, and Shabbat Shalom to all of you. And look for us on Patreon, on YouTube, on Facebook. God bless. Shabbat Shalom.